Up. So if you guys, if you're rejoining us, we apologize. Yeah, we should be live again. Yeah, I think, I was just telling Sean, I think I sent out the information to him off of Microsoft Word, and I get a thing from OneDrive. So I have a feeling OneDrive must have done something and shut us down. So anyway, we are live. We're back with Sean Molina and, of course, our referee-in-chief, Brad Bomrock. If you're watching the ref room, this is part 2, I guess, as we continue here. We got through a lot of information. I don't know that we're going to scale this together or splice it together, whatever we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, let's continue. We're talking to Sean, and we were talking about just rules in general and situations, and Sean was sharing one of his with GBN and Bennett, I believe. Pick it up from there, Sean.
Yeah, it was state quarterfinals. Like I said, it was a overtime game. GBN just coming off a power play. Bennett turnover in their own end. Short ice, 2-on-1. Player from GBN slides the puck across. Goalie pushes off the post, knocks the net off. Kid stick handles a couple times and then shoots. And there's Mr. Molina on the goal line waving it off, no goal. Meanwhile, no one in the building initially saw it, other than my partner, who was Steve Rickard at the time. Skate across to him, tell him what I saw, and said, okay, let's go with it. GBN clearly unhappy, right? Bennett has new life. Their season continues for a short period of time, and of course, what do you expect to happen? But sure enough, Bennett scores in double overtime to win it. So
the hockey gods did not restore order in that situation.
No, and to add a little fuel to the fire, I had a former coworker. His son was a senior on the GBN team, so I actually saw him probably about 4 months later. He came down at our office, and I saw him, and I just looked at him and just started laughing. And he goes, "Yeah, you were enemy number 1 for about 2 months in our house, because that was his kid's last competitive hockey game." And that happens. You make the call, and you get back to the locker room. You're like, "Did I make the right call?" I go back and watch Live Bar, and I still believe I had it. And then over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, we ended up getting 2 or 3 other view vantage points of the call, and I still believe it was the right call and everything. It was just, I thought my season was done. I thought, way too much controversy. GBN, God forbid I ever step foot in Northbrook Ice Arena ever again or something like that. And fortunately enough, and I was privileged enough to be able to skate the Red Varsity Championship, which was pretty cool in the same building. But I'll say this: it was. The Edge in Bensonville is now my one rink. When I was a player, I had one rink that I couldn't play well in. It just how it was. In junior, it was Omaha. I couldn't play well in Omaha. It just didn't work. Professionally, it was in Wheeling, West Virginia. Couldn't play in that building to save my life. The Edge is now turning into my nemesis for officiating, because sure enough, on Friday night in a college game, I had to wave off a goal. Same exact end. I was in the exact same position. Same type of thing happened.
Groundhog Day.
Exactly, all over again. It's just going to keep biting me. I'm just waiting for the third time. So 2 weeks when I'm back at the Edge again, we'll see what happens.
Third's a charm.
Maybe you should try standing in a different spot.
Yeah, right. Man, I should just be a Maybe I should just be a linesman. I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So the no goal.
It's not that simple. I just like to point that out.
The goalie had pushed the net off. It was Did he?
Yes.
Was he penalized?
He was making competitive play to come across, right?
Okay.
It was a competitive. It wasn't like he did it in any. It wasn't like he sat there and shoved it off with his hand. I mean,
right.
The puck went from essentially bottom of the circles to high slot far side. So he was using the net to push off on, and when you've got those pegs that are rounded and don't have the point that you see. I mean, it's not like you're dealing with the 6-inch rubber pegs that are built into the foundation. You're talking about 3/4 of an inch of a little rounded piece of metal that may or may not have melted into the ice. And
I know a lot of the U16s and U18s have a problem with that, with the big guys that are pushing off on those nets, and some of them are better than others. I don't know how or why, but it's just the way it goes. And you can't have you can't have a goal in USA hockey if the net is off the mooring. So
some of those pegs somebody took out in the parking lot and ground them down by hooking them up to their
for
car.
sure.
I think they've just been there for 30 years, and they don't disappear, and it's like nobody wants to buy a new one, apparently. But I heard
they must be really expensive.
I don't know what they cost. I'm curious.
$30 a piece, maybe
I don't
$60
know.
a pair.
I don't know. But if you go, I think one of the colleges still has. They don't have 4 of them. I think they have 2 of them, but they're, the circle like you have for the peg. But then they have like these little studs all the way around. Instead of being a point going down, what do you call it? Well, they have more than that. I think it's got like 6 or 8 of them going around the circle around
That's
the
at the
perimeter.
academy.
Academy or college?
It's at the
Maybe
academy.
both. Maybe 2 of them are at the college and 2 of them are at the academy. But they have
NIU
them
was
there.
using them the other day as well. NIU
Those seem
had
to
something
stay
like
in
that.
pretty well though. So I don't know if there's a better way.
All right. So the net pegs. All right. The cheapest one I found right now is $223 for a set of them.
That's probably why they don't buy them very often.
You'd think with
Plus,
$700
nobody
ice, you
thinks
might be able
about
to afford a pair.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I don't know
all
what to
about the
tell ya.
$80 ice cuts.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's I don't know. That's something that probably hasn't been updated. Can we get some MIT specialists to come up with a better way for the pegs to stay in that's safe for the players?
They did. They're called the breakaway pegs.
Is that the ones that you dig into the ice with the rubber like the NHL has, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's the ones with the rubber, and they
Yeah.
they pop off. But the problem is,
Yep.
who's going to stand out there and suck the water out of there all the time?
Exactly.
You're not going to get that at a youth rink.
Yeah. Well, here we go. We got some comments. I didn't get to the other comments before, so I know Alan had checked in. Thanks for doing it. Eric had checked in. Mark Bialco had checked in. What's up, everybody? Chris says, is anyone else not getting a picture? Are you getting a picture now, Chris? Because we did go off and reboot, so sorry if you lost altogether. You should have a picture
I can send
now.
him a text message.
If
I'll
not,
send you
we're
a text message of me.
Mr. Straley says $150 to $300 a set. Well, I'd say he's right in the middle. He could go run The Price is Right. He'd be a winner in that situation.
Yeah, that was just the cheapest I found at that point.
What hockey goal pegs should I buy? Best goal pegs. All right. These are set for $140 per pair. All right. Thank you, Karen. Are those the ones we should have? I don't know. I mean, Brad, you probably would know more about this. In a lot of the other markets, I'm told by the officials that the referees don't move nets and they don't set the nets, that they just come out and do their job. We're in Illinois, we seem to be, like an employee of the rink. We push nets and, we're asked to do certain things where if that was the situation, they would have to put the nets in and change things out. What is the appropriate thing for that around the country, and how does that work? Because a lot of times I think the referee, I think the employees of the rink think we work for them, and that's not really the case. So what is the official take?
Somebody's going to move those nets. And if you got 3 games, you're probably going to move them.
Yeah.
Because you want to get out of there. There's no official take on it. There's no statement. There's no nothing. There's just a lot of nice guys in Illinois. See?
Yeah.
I'll spin it into another good thing.
There you go. Butterflies. The referees are butterflies.
Yeah, the referee butterflies.
Yep. They can push structures as well.
Yeah. Some of those structures are like big defensemen, getting them out of the way.
Hey, we can shatter dreams and move nets. That's all
That's
we're
right.
good at.
That's right. So we got 2 accolades going for us. All right. So Sean, kind of sum things up for us. I mean, are you a little disappointed nowadays that with the NHL taking a lot of former players and moving them into the NHL as referees, do you think if you were 10 years younger in your career that maybe you would have thought about making the move to try to become a professional referee, given the opportunities that are out there now for past players?
Had you told me when I was, 20 years ago when I was making the decision to not play competitively anymore, that this was an opportunity, and had I known what I know now, again, it's your older self knowing the things that you know and all the lessons that you learned. If I had that knowledge 20 years ago, yeah, there's probably a decent shot of it, right? I mean, like I said, I was very attached to the game as a player, and when I made the decision to no longer play competitively, that was a hard decision to make, but one that I felt was best for me longer term. I mean, you can only play for so long. I wasn't blessed with, having a career to afford me a 10, 15-year NHL career and set me up for life. Did I get to play a game and earn a paycheck for playing a game? Yeah, and it's an experience I wouldn't trade for the world. Coming off of that, have you said, listen, you can go into this program and maybe make a name for it? Maybe. I mean, who knows about the maturity level? I mean, I that's part of it as well. I think, where I am at in my, overall life and experiences that I've had, I think probably play into what I've been able to do as an official. I probably wouldn't be as calm and at least to what I think is calm. You can ask a couple of our coaches whether they think the same or not. 20 years ago, but it's who knows, right? I mean, in hindsight's 2020. It would have been a cool experience. I mean, obviously if they were doing stuff a lot back then, but obviously we weren't nearly in the situation that I think officiating in general, or frankly all sports, right? I think that's the other aspect of it too. Right now, with me having kids and watching my kids play competitive sports, they don't play hockey, thank God. I get to avoid the 9 a.m. or the 6 a.m. wake up calls to go to the rink on the weekends. I get to just sit out at football fields and baseball fields all the time. But you see it. I've got a little bit different perspective on that side of it too now, right? When I'm watching my kids play and I'm watching an umpire struggling, or I'm watching other coaches or parents screaming at officials, that's a whole different perspective of it too. Like, I mean, listen, I can kind of relate to these guys, and you can sit down and have a conversation with an umpire and say, hey, listen, I ref hockey games. I get it. I know where you're at, but what do you think about this instead? And you have that conversation, or even worse. I mean, I was at Mount Prospect went to watch a friend of mine's son play. I don't watch the game. I watch the referees now. Which I stop and tell myself.
Go to an NHL game, and what do you watch? You don't watch the game. You watch the referees.
I know. I just watch the officials.
So
That's all I do now. I realized I started doing that about 2 years ago, and I have to catch myself, and I'm out there trying to enjoy a game to say, listen, go enjoy the game. Don't worry about the officials. It's fine. Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Two baseball fields across the street from me, and I walk the dog over in that area all the time, and they have sometimes it's the t-ball, and then it's the parents throwing the ball, and then they get to the point they're probably 8 or 9, and they're finally learning to throw the ball for the batter, and it's really interesting to watch because they do have an umpire back there, and it's a teenage kid basically with just the big vest that he puts in front of him, and you can hear him making his calls, and it's kind of like might split ice probably because they don't call 3 strikes and you're out. I think they keep going until everybody gets a hit or they do something. The kid swings 5 times and misses. He's still up there batting. So I'm guessing, it's kind of like, training for them. It's not the higher level of baseball. But, it's interesting to watch, how all the other sports handle the situation, the way they do things, and, how they get trained to try to move up. And we have a number of our officials that work football. I know Mark Bialko works football. Guys like Marty Tong and
football.
What's that?
We have a lot of guys that do football, and then we have a lot of guys that do baseball.
Yeah, baseball was the other one that we have a ton of guys in. We have a lot of guys that work lacrosse.
A couple do. Yeah, as I say, there's a couple. There's more lacrosse ones now than there was.
Oh, I think the demand for lacrosse has gone up considerably over the umpteen years.
There's a lot more lacrosse. I know that. Yeah. Just from my kids playing out in our area, when they first started, there was nothing out here, and now there's a ton of it. So it's just growing and growing.
Yeah. So Sean, anything else you want to share with our audience with regard to being a player and a referee and coach and all that good stuff? Anything that you'd like to see changed in hockey that's not working for us, or maybe things that you think are great that the changes were made and you think are just awesome?
Yeah, we talked about rules a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the unification of the icing and offside rule between high school and AAA. I think that's having that be separate. I think is a little silly. The same age kids. I get the concept of what USA Hockey's trying to do. I don't know. Well, you kind of align that. I mean, from a USA Hockey perspective, I think it's, it's funny, again, being a parent and everyone saying how you want kids to play multiple sports, and yet you got hockey players playing year round and the demand on it. I mean, we see it from the official side in terms of just the sheer number of games that you see every single weekend, which it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And and it's, in the summertime and in the springtime, like I get you want to play once in a while, but make that be fun. I mean, back when we played spring league, like you rotated who got to play goalie, and if you had 7 guys show up at the game, it was fantastic, right? Or you play with 5 guys, and if you got a power play, you actually had one of your guys sit and made it 4-on-4, so you got one guy to get a rest. So instead of playing all 42 minutes of the game or whatever it is.
Yeah, or you'd have the people that, because you get to know people that play on different teams. You've either played with them and they've moved or whatnot. Then they all get together and make a spring league team. Mm-hmm. You either play against each other or you play in different leagues or whatnot. And then that's like the time to see them. And then, you have fun with those people playing.
Totally goof off with it.
Yeah.
We'd have crazy uniforms. The parents would always get us the most outlandish uniforms. Like we had one spring, we were sponsored by a hot dog joint in Skokie that used to be by Old Orchard Mall called Bumpkins. And we had these like bright purple uniforms. It looked like we were Barney the dinosaur back when I was 10 years old. But like those are the things you remember, right? Because those are the fun ones. It's not like going to and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like the Chi-Town Shuffle and everything, which is so serious now, and you got to have everyone show up, and we're going to 5 tournaments in the spring, and that's kind of crazy.
Well, some of my friends talked about they played spring league in the adult league and up in Canada, and what they do for their spring league is they basically throw sticks in. And that's the team you're going to play on for the spring league. So you have your team, everybody shows up, but the sticks go out there, and then they start grabbing sticks, and that forms your team. And now you're going to play with guys that you've never played with that you don't know, and they just find that it makes a lot more enjoyment even during the regular season, because guys that have just hated each other for the last 5 or 6 years and want to kill each other are in a position where they're now playing together and drinking beer together, and they're like, hey, that guy's actually all right, man. I mean, we don't need to be, animals to one another out here, because
I'm waiting with a question.
Oh, what? Please, you don't have to raise your hand. Just jump right in.
Just checking. You're just on a roll, so I wanted to at least give you a verbal or a visual cue. The one thing that I don't understand from that league standpoint is, where do you get the guy that always brings the beer to all the games, and that's the only reason you keep him on the team? How do you designate that guy if you're picking sticks?
Well, maybe you have to have a different colored stick, so every team has to pick one color stick that's the beer stick? Designated beer delivery guy.
Yeah, like the whiskey stick. I forget what state that is. They put a W and the license plate's yellow if you've had a DUI in so many years.
Oh, really?
They call it a whiskey plate. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if they do that anymore, but
yeah.
That's what it used to be. So, okay,
I just think that'd be fun. I mean, my gosh,
Sounds horrible.
I played down at Johnny's and Skokie and all those leagues, and we grew to hate people. I mean, we did. We played against them for too many times. There's too much like built up anxiety every time you guys play. If you'd probably played with those guys and gone out for a beer or a pizza or something like that after a game, you probably would have a little different viewpoint of them. That they're just hockey players. They're just like the rest of us, and it could be a little more civil at one of those games. So it's not a bad idea, I don't think. I would do that if I was a league director. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I see you having 0 teams sign up. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, because everybody wants to have their stacked team,
Yeah, everyone's got to win nowadays.
Exactly.
They bring in ringers for playoffs. Come on.
I know a few refs that clean a pack of Modelo's in the locker room before a men's league game. Oh, okay. Well, men's league, I guess. I don't know if I'd want to clean a pack of Modelo's at any time, but that's beside the point.
There's people that get up at 6 a.m. and drive to work after drinking, so it wouldn't shock me in the world.
No, not surprised. It happens. Anyway, Sean, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Anything you want to cover before we go?
I'm good. It was a fun time, and you know, it's like I said, year 5 now, and into this, and still going, still making it back. I guess not having a skating test the last 2 years helps as I get older.
Definitely makes it
make
easier.
turns. For sure.
Well, there's
Makes
a few other
easier.
things they could do away with that would make it easier for everybody too. But that's
A crest for life.
yeah.
That's what Scott wants. The USA
Well,
Hockey
that's
Life crest.
USA
I got
tenure
mine,
status.
mine showed up today. See, I'm official.
There we go.
Yeah,
Add to the collection.
exactly. So I'll put that to good use at men's league tonight. All right, Mr. Baumrock, anything you want to share with everybody before we?
No, just the one thing would be, when you're filling out game reports, fill them out to the best of your knowledge. Nobody needs any opinions in them, just so you know. And the other big thing is, write it from like a standpoint. How do I put this? When you're writing up when somebody says something, write it up in verbatim. Okay, for what they said.
Don't change what they quoted, right?
Yeah, don't. But the problem is a lot of people try to write it like there's some really horrible things that are said, and like I understand it's uncomfortable for like a lot of people, myself, them to have to put these things down on paper. The problem is if they don't know what's said, there might not be as much done about it as so it sucks, so just put it in quotes. That's the best way. That should alleviate your stress, and it's not you writing it, just put it in there, and player said this, put it in quotes.
Yeah.
So.
That's probably for a match penalty, I'm guessing, is what you're referring to. So, if you got to quote it, put it in quotes.
Yeah, and some people say some really horrible things, so
Yeah, this is
not
true.
much you can do, and
Yep.
they're teenagers, a lot of them.
Yeah. So, live and learn. They will learn. They'll grow up. It happens. It's hockey. It's an emotional game, guys. That's what I tell
Correct.
people all the time. It's an emotional game. Get used to it. All right, Sean, thanks again for joining us. Brad, always great to see you. We will be back here.
Yes.
This is the Ref Room. We do this every Monday. Sorry, yes, there is 2 parts to the stream today because for some reason we got cut off halfway through. So look for 2 streams out there, and I don't know if we can splice them together or not. I don't think so, but we'll see what we can make happen. At any rate, they're both up there. So we will see you again next Monday, starting at 5:30 Chicago time. That's Central, right here on the Ref Room. On behalf of Sean Molina, our guest, and Mr. Brad Baumrock, I am Scott Smokin' Sills. You guys have a great week. Take a couple extra games. Have some fun out there. Peace out, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Take care.